What's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the pod. I got a lot to say about this particular issue tonight. We're talking about Chicago, everybody. Chi-Town. We all know it. I'm going to say some things that people will agree with and maybe not agree with tonight. I want you all to share this video out. If you have a cell phone, you have the whole situation is very irritating to me. If you have a cell phone, definitely share this stream out in your social media. You know, I always say that. I would like you definitely to do that, because you know that YouTube shadow bans channels like mine. And I want everybody tonight to definitely express themselves in the chat room, as I will be looking at comments and evaluating your comments and what have you tonight. Carlishia Hood, who you see on the screen there, and her son, who you're going to see on the screen right here as well. They were going to Maxwell Street Express, located at the block of 11600 block of South Street in Chicago. I think it's Halsted Street. Going there like anyone else to get something to eat, to enjoy the night. And it's a damn shame that in this time and age, we've got more black people attacking one another. We've got more black people harming one another. We're doing the job for the enemy. Now, there were people on social media that jumped out the window, made up stuff about the mother. You're eating your crow right now. Made up stuff about the son that turned out not to be true. Of course, you're going to have the usual people out there. They're going to say, well, this is a byproduct of a single mama with no father. Turn out the young man is an A student in school, graduated with honors. Turns out the mother, I believe she works as a notary. She works for a notary company or something of that nature in Chicago. You know, you should never judge a book by its cover. People do that a lot. And you'd say that night, how many of you, put a 7 in the chat room, have gone out to pick up a snack at night, and you don't go out looking like you want to go to a Soul Train festival. You slip on some regular clothes, what have you. Black people judge black people by what we wear. Society judges by what we wear. Then there's going to be people that are going to say, well, what were they doing out at that night to get a snack like Polish hot dogs? I'm going to piggyback on what my man Super Sly said, 75, and shout out to him if he's watching. I'm going to take a page from that brother and say, violence don't have no limitations on when violence is going to happen. This could have happened at 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, noon. It doesn't matter what time. It's not like if you go out at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, a damn fool out there is going to say, oh, let me not act a fool and scream and yell at this woman, and let me not strike her, not once, but 2 times, 3 times. Because, you know, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 12 o'clock, and you know, we don't supposed to be violent, and we ain't supposed to be disrespectful to one another until 11 o'clock at night, midnight, or something like that. Some goofy stuff like that. Then they demonize the son, saying, oh, he's a thug, he's this and that. No, not a thug. Oh, the gun that she had, let me be careful here. You know how YouTube is. The firearm that they had that night was a registered firearm. Thank you, Glow, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. This is the podcast, so it's different than what I do on Sunday. So I'm staying strictly focused on the content right now. But I thank you for the super chat, and I'm going to give you this.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that $10 super chat. Appreciate it. We got Raw B Privilege in the house. Miss She said, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say some things that people may not like, and I don't give a damn. Jeremy Brown, as far as I'm concerned, you see, he deserved, now y'all going to get mad at me, he deserved everything that happened to him that night. He put himself at risk because when you go out there, you don't know what people are capable of doing. You can't underestimate people. I don't care if it's woman, man, or child. See, he underestimated her because he just saw her as another black woman that he could disrespect. Now, I know that brothers on the YouTube streets, everybody gets upset when they hear black women say, we don't have no protection. Oh, yes, they do. The biggest protection that black women have are their sons. You see, black sons are the most dependable men in a woman's life. When a woman dates, has relationships, gets married, and those marriages go wrong, the one that will always be there for the mother, who's always tried and true, will be the son. You see, there were other people that were standing there that night who did nothing to assist in the situation. So the son, say what you will, had to do what was necessary, which is why, people gonna not like this, which is why the police had to let them go. Now, the police arrested both the son, the mother, as you already know, with the idea that they were gonna give them first-degree murder, which is a legal term. Look it up. And so they realized they didn't have enough evidence because they only showed certain amount of the footage. Oh yeah. Let me give you a breakdown right here. Check this out. Considering the angle of the security cameras inside the restaurant, why did the investigators not release the portion of the video showing the Brown beating Miss Hood, 3 times striking her? There, it's called self-defense. If these white folks can sit out here and harm black people and use a situation called I'm defending myself, right here, Jordan Neely was choked in a subway train in New York by that man right there, who just today pled not guilty to all charges. And only charges they gave Daniel Penny was manslaughter. He didn't get no murder. But then, let me show you what I got a treasure trove for things here tonight. Then you have the white woman. This is how it is. This is the value of black life in America. You see, the white woman not only harmed a black woman's children, and that black woman went to her house to find out what in the what is going on. And this white woman shot her with a firearm behind the door of her home. And just a week ago, they said she won't be charged for the legal term called murder. She will not get that type of charge. But on the other hand, a black woman goes out to get some Polish links or sausages, her and her son, and she has to be harassed by a fool. Okay, a fool. Watch this. I'm not playing the audio on this because it's just too nasty. Look at that. By a fool, ladies and gentlemen. Now look, stop it right there. I've got the technology on this channel. I can freeze frame anything at any bit in time. Look at him clutching his fist. Why is a black man clutching his fist to strike a black woman? Now, for all of you on the YouTube streets and everybody out there listening, because I know people were talking about this all week and all since last week. Oh, this is a situation where a black woman just couldn't shut her mouth up and she just kept staying in the face. No, she wasn't in. Look, She never invaded this man's space. And guess what? She had every right to speak her piece. This man was harassing her. And the other thing that's embarrassing about this is that none of the men that were in line, as cowardly as they were, obviously, did anything to intervene and say, hey, brother, come on now. Let's not take it to this level. How about you get your Polish sausage and take your black you-know-what home? That's all he had to do. Now, look, we get on the YouTube streets and we talk about how black men are supposed to be logical, right? We're supposed to be the logical one. We're supposed to be the ones that are logical. We're supposed to be the leaders. Okay, I'm going to steal a page from my man, Sir Hale Speaks, and shout out to him. He said a phrase on his show that I continue to use right now, and that is emotional maturity. That I can't call him a man because he's a boy. He acted like a boy that night. If women are emotional, then as a man who's supposed to be a leader, you're supposed to know. If you get on the YouTube street talking about female nature, then female nature that you claim to know would tell you that women are emotional, and therefore you're supposed to be the logical one as the leader and realize that, okay, I can't, God built us for strength, right? Women, we can't beat women in a verbal match, men. Why haven't you all learned that by now? You can't beat them in a verbal match. So therefore, when you look at that, understanding that you're dealing with a woman who's more emotional than you, at least that's what guys always say, then therefore common sense, using logic, would say, let me not argue with this woman back and forth. It ain't really worth it. Let me get my Polish sausage so I can go home and smack on it. That's right. I want to eat something, right? Why waste your time arguing with this woman to the point now you put yourself at jeopardy to get pop, pop, pop goes the weasel. See, he underestimated her because she was a black woman. He figured I can do anything to her because that's what we do. We disrespect our women. We got no respect for our women. And so we seem to be one of these groups in America, black people. I'm sorry. The reason why this happened is because we don't like each other. This is why this man can sit up here, clench his fist like that, and get ready to lay into this woman real bad here. Look at that. And then he gets ready to cock that. Boom. I got to get out of that. You see, he cocks the hand to do punishment and danger. Why? Why was it necessary? See, he would be alive today to be able to live another day, to be able to spend time with his two twin daughters. You see, this man has two twin daughters. I've done some research about him. I tried to find out what kind of work does he do? Does he have a job? Is he employed? Because they were demonizing the mother and the son. And you know, you got black folks on YouTube, social media demonizing the mother and son. We know the mother has a registered gun, a weapon, firearm. The son graduated school with honors. He's not one of these roughneck kids. He was simply trying to protect his mother. You see, this kind of kid he is. Graduated, so he wasn't your garden variety thug that a lot of us like to demonize black kids around. But this man didn't have enough emotional maturity to realize I got two daughters at home that I need to be going to spend time with. These two twin daughters, which I believe they had a birthday on June 16th. They celebrated their birthday on June 16th. So that means he just celebrated his daughter's birthday about a week ago. And now he's gone. And because of his lack of emotional maturity that you see right here, now his daughters don't have a father to raise them and to teach them the right things. But then he's not a good example any damn way. Now you would say, well, see, they don't have a father because this woman took them away from him, took this man away from his children. Well, this man put himself in a position to be harmed because the son was protecting his mother and he put hands on her, not once, not twice, but 3 times. The lady, he put hands on her. In the court documents, ladies and gentlemen, an assistant state attorney even stated that Miss Brown, or Mr. Brown, Jeremy Brown, punched Miss Hood in the head 3 times, but they never brought this up as self-defense when they first arrested them. But when white folks take our lives, harm us, oh, they got all kind of excuses. Oh, well, we got to take our time and investigate it. But no, they arrested them and demonized them right away. It was clearly self-defense. She texted her son on the phone, told her son what was going on. He came out, and you heard him in the video. I'm not playing the audio to it because it's real nasty stuff and it just bothers me to hear it over and over again. But we do know that she texted the son, at least from reports. There he is. Look at the fool right there. That she texted the son. He came out and witnessed his mother being struck by this man. Now, everybody in the chat room, let's take a vote here. If you saw your mother being attacked by a fool and you have a weapon, what was he supposed to do? You would do the same thing he did. You would go, pop goes the weasel. I'm telling you right now, you're talking about a 14-year-old. Put yourself in a 14-year-old's mindset. If that had been me and this dude came up on my mother and attacked her, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure he doesn't put his hands not only on my mother, but nobody else again. You see your mother being striked, so that's an emotional charge. And therefore, her son did what nobody was willing to do in this sausage facility, this shop out there on Maxwell Street Express, located at the 1600 block in Chicago. He did what nobody else was willing. Look at all those men that were in there and they did nothing. No collective of men went over and said, brother, let's end this. Now, how did this whole thing happen? Well, of course, it was an argument. And you have to ask yourself, well, what were they arguing over, right? And you can make the argument, well, maybe she shouldn't have argued back with him. But at the same time, just because you have a disagreement with someone doesn't give them the right to come into your space and attack you if you didn't come into their space, showing that you were about to attack them. In that video, there was no fighting stance by Mrs. Hood. Mrs. Hood showed no violent stance. She didn't hit him. She didn't swing at him. She didn't do anything in retaliation physically herself. But it was the son who simply came out, had the weapon, and he pop goes the weasel. I'm saying that Jeremy Brown, as much as it does not sound good to people to hear, especially the black men out there who feel like, oh, another black man's been, that black man put himself in a situation because he underestimated, undervalued, and marginalized that black woman. Didn't think she had anybody that was there to protect her. Didn't think that she was worth even giving a damn about. Didn't think she was worth giving any respect to. That he took, you could say that, well, maybe she was disrespectful to him because she said some words to him. But at the end of the day, she didn't put any hands on him. He had no right to put hands on her if his life was in no ultimate danger. And what he did is that he showed his lack of emotional maturity. He showed his lack of discipline as a man. And as a result, he is no longer alive for his kids. Now, I want y'all to recognize something. That was the son that was in the door to the right. You see him. He's watching what's happening. In his mind, my mother's being attacked and I've got to stop the attack because who knows how much damage, whether it be brain damage because he was hitting her in the head, that he could have put on this woman, Miss Hood, which was unfortunate. This is the fool right here, Jeremy Brown. Prosecutors also stated that Miss Hood's son fired additional shots at Brown, but the portion of the security video they released never showed that. So a lot of people were jumping out the window and saying that after he shot Brown, and Brown got hit with the first shots, then Brown proceeded to run out of the facility, out of the restaurant, and then they said that Brown shot him a second time, and that was the fatal shot that took him out. That's what's been put out there. But then there was this rumor out there that, oh, she was telling her son to attack other people. Apparently, Jeremy Brown had a girlfriend. He's not married. I did some background check on this man, and you're going to be shocked by some of the things I'm going to tell you about him. See, black people, we defend the wrong type of characters. We really do. When I really reflect on videos I've done in the past, we really defend and support the wrong type of people. This man right here has a nasty background. This man right here has a very, very nasty background. You see, he had a girlfriend. Maybe he's abusive to his girlfriend. I think Tanya TKO was talking about this. Maybe the girlfriend was just happy to see him putting his hands on somebody else besides her. There's still a talking point from Tanya TKO. Because it was reported that the girlfriend that was with him, the woman that was with him, was laughing at Miss Hood the whole time that this man was putting hands on Miss Hood. Why are we, as a black community, accepting this type of animal behavior? It's just like in Harlem, New York, where you had the black woman who went into a store to buy a bottle of wine. One of the guys said, hey, I want to buy that bottle of wine for you. She said, no, that's okay, because he wanted to, talk to her. And they didn't like that. They got turned down. Once again, lack of emotional maturity, everybody. And they begin to savagely attack this black woman. This was in New York and Harlem, I believe. They begin to savagely attack her and bite on her. And to you all that think that black men don't defend black women, you had black men in Harlem that went out in droves, marched in droves, looking for the individuals who did that to that black woman. So there are black men who do protect black women. There are black men that stand up. What you have when you have black men who do not help black women who are clearly being attacked and they're not being the aggressor are boys. See, boys are not, well, in this case, her son's a man, but boys, men who have boy mentalities, men who are not emotionally mature, men who are just weaklings, haven't eaten their pot pie spinach. They are the ones that stand by and watch the bullshit happen. And they're the ones who do the screaming and yelling like Jeremy Brown did towards Miss Hood. Her son is a man because he did what had to be done when as necessary, because what if he had no weapon or no way of stopping this guy? Think about how much damage this man could have possibly engaged in harming his mother. So we want to keep that in mind. Now, when you asked about the surveillance, about him going after the girlfriend, because the girlfriend was reported laughing at the situation. And the reason why in a place like Chicago or any other place that we reside in as black people, I'm going to tell you right now, black people do not like each other. We hate one another, because we have self-hate for ourselves. We don't like the way we look. We don't like our hair. We don't like our lips. We don't like ourselves because the larger society has told us for decades we're ugly, we don't matter. And so what happens is you begin to go through what they call a Stockholm syndrome, where you begin to identify with your oppressor. You identify with what the larger society says about you. You begin to have a lack of confidence. You begin to have self-esteem issues. And when you don't hurt people, right? When you don't like yourself, the way it's projected psychologically, putting on my clinician's cap now, is that you will begin to project, which is called projection countertransference, in which someone looks like someone that reminds you of someone you didn't like, whether it be your father or your mother. You see, Jeremy Brown didn't like Miss Hood because Miss Hood reminded him of another black woman that he doesn't like in his life. See, black people hate each other and project on each other on the YouTube streets in real life because it's really based on the fact that we don't like ourselves, and we don't like, so that if you don't like yourself, you don't like people that look like you, and you project your anger and hate about yourself onto people who look like you because you really deep down inside don't like yourself. And if you don't have respect for women or for black men or black women, it doesn't matter the circumstances, you'll disrespect them. That's why Jeremy Brown felt very comfortable behaving in the way he did, because he doesn't really like himself at all. This father of two daughters has a really nasty history that I want to share with you that you need to know about. You see, Jeremy Brown has a criminal background. So when you see him putting his hands like this, you see in that right corner him punching, and you notice nobody in the restaurant even came out and said, "Get out of my store, get out of here, stop it, we're calling it." They didn't even say anything. But as you see him attacking her in that corner side, this is not the first time that he has put hands on black women or women in general, you see, because this man has a history. He's in there yelling at the top of his mouth, and she never was yelling at him. She said some words, but he was the one doing all the lack of emotional control that night. And the reason why he has no emotional control, ladies and gentlemen, is because this man is a felon. Oh, what is his record? Oh, he has a history of multiple batteries. Now you say, information man, how do you know this? Well, I keep my ears to Chicago radio and Chicago news. And there was a woman who actually interviewed, she came on WVON radio in Chicago. Her name is Mama something. She came on there and she gave a report just a couple of days ago because she interviewed Carlishia Hood, and she did some research living in Chicago on Jeremy Brown. And what they found out about Jeremy Brown, as I was saying before, is that Mr. Brown is a felon. He has multiple battery convictions for battery on women. Oh yeah. While they demonize the son, who's actually an A student, the mother had a registered gun, so she wasn't a criminal. They were going to give them a $3 million bond until they decided to let them go because they didn't have legitimate evidence. You know why? Because it was seen as self-defense, because she was the victim. Where in America, no other person would this happen to but a black person, that you become the victim of an assault. You protect yourself. They talk about the Second Amendment right, that you hear white folks and everybody in America talking about the importance of the Second Amendment right. But when black folks have weapons under the Second Amendment right, and we utilize it to protect oneself or to save one's mother from a fool, you're demonized. You see, Miss Hood is going to sue, and I got this on Intel. She's going to sue the city of Chicago and the police department, not only because they should have never arrested her, but she said that they put out information like her pictures and various information about her that they had no business doing. So they violated her personal rights. And they did this without properly examining and putting all the surveillance out there as to what happened. The surveillance video shows her being beaten. 35-year-old Miss Hood being attacked by Mr. Brown, who has a history of multiple battery on females. That shows you that he's a punk already. So for those of you who jumped out the window and said that Jeremy Brown was just a black man trying to get his Polish sausage that night, and it was the black woman that was out of control, and why she have her son, she texted her son, he got out of the car, he knew that she was in trouble, and he did what he had to do. I want everybody in the chat room, take a vote. If you were a 14-year-old, if that was your parent being assaulted and beaten by a fool, and you don't know how bad it could go, and you got a way to stop them, what would you do? Before we start criticizing this young man, the question would be, what would you do to protect your parent? Because I grew up and I certainly seen people in my neighborhood that if you touched their sister, their mother, anybody, it was lights out for you. I almost personally had a situation. I told George Makem about this when I was on his show, and I'll share it with y'all. I personally, at one point in time when I was a youngster, somebody, and my mom was very upset about this, showed me how to use a firearm because I was about to take somebody out for doing harm to my family member. And I was probably like 12, 14 years old, 13 years old. And I was considering doing something. And of course, if I would have did it, it would have changed my life, because I would have done it without them doing something first, like what happened in the case with Miss Hood's son, where he was protecting his mother. I was just thinking about cold blunt, finding them and pow, pow, pop goes the weasel. Would have changed my whole life. Y'all would have never knew who I was. Certainly wouldn't be on YouTube. Another thing that we need to keep in mind is that her son is going to need psychological counseling for a very long time. You can't do something like what he did and not have rivering effects on you. QT1, I thank you for being here. Thank you. Jill's Chocolate, thank you for being here. This is the podcast. I'm going to do it a little bit different. I will not be taking too long with this tonight. We got Paul. What's going on, my man? What's going on? Good to see you over here. That's a younger version of my man Yaupo. Looking good on that picture. And we got my man M Music Man 1982. This is a serious situation because we as black people are doing a lot of harm to ourselves. We are harming ourselves. We are hating one another. Let me show you this video real quick. It's a quick video.
Her son were later charged with first-degree murder, but yesterday, the Cook County State's attorney dropped all charges, saying in a statement that based upon the facts, evidence, and the law, we were unable to meet our burden.
What this leaked video did was it really flipped the prosecutor's view of the case. Before seeing this, they clearly were of the view that the defendant was the aggressor. Now they are of the view that the person they had formerly seen as the victim was the aggressor.
Hood's attorneys say she is...
All right. I want to say thank you for My sister right here, Mahogany Roots and MJ, she gave me a $5 super chat. She says, exactly, you could tell this was not his first time attacking a woman. It's sad. We are willing to protect. And check this out. I'm going to call Black YouTube out. Isn't it interesting how we had a lot of black folks on YouTube that were willing to protect this white woman who's simply doing nothing but making money off of black dysfunction, and you guys rally around her and give her protection. And then when black women say that they want some protection, y'all have excuses for why you can't go to bat for black women. But you were more than willing to go to bat for that ugly white woman. I'm gonna keep it real, who is grifting off of black culture because she simply has a big platform, and y'all hoping that she'll give you a bite of the apple. That's what I call Sambos and Gumbos. Remember, and I'm going to say it again, it's a shame that his kids will not get to see their father. A man who, I looked up this and I looked it up. This man, there is no records of his employment. So I don't know if he's making money out there in the streets of Chicago illegally, but there was no records to be found about this man's employment background. Let me give y'all some information here. Jeremy Brown was not married. He didn't have a wife. However, it was reported that he had a girlfriend, and that girlfriend was laughing like everything was funny, you know, laughing like this. According to the neighborhood talker, his girlfriend, neighborhood talk, the girlfriend was laughing throughout the whole ordeal, encouraging her man to carry on. Why are black people hating on other black people, and then you're encouraging your man, your girlfriend, or whoever to continue the effery? What did Jeremy Brown do for a living? Check this out. It's unknown what Jeremy Brown was paid to do for a living, to earn a living. Meanwhile, Miss Hood was employed by a notary public in Chicago, like I said. She started working there in 2021. She has also worked as a professional tax preparer. So you're not dealing with an ignorant black woman here that some of you would probably assume. And she was she was an advisor since 2007. She also worked as a private landlord and lending officer. Okay, Miss Hood graduated from Gage Park High School in 2006. Her dance troupe was the Joke Squad. After that, she entered Chicago City College. Is Jeremy Brown? There's nothing on this guy. And the sad thing about it, everybody, he's got a mother who's 58 years old. I'm giving y'all the information. Since neither party knew the other, despite it turning physical, Jeremy Brown being shown on the film punching Miss Hood repeatedly over her head. Okay? So he had some problems. Okay, the man, check this out. Jeremy Brown was 32 years old, as we already know, at the time of his unfounded death. The only family member we know is his mother, Miss Brown, who was born September 1964, is 58 years old. Okay? So this is the information we have on this man so far. Another thing that I want to remind you all of is this. Miss Hood, 35 years old, and her son had both been charged with first-degree murder last week on June 18th during that unfortunate situation in which a firearm was used to get this fool off of her. Jeremy Brown, 32, at the hot dog. This man's arguing with a black woman, arguing at a hot dog stand. You know how goofy that is? Get your hot dog and take your hot dog ass home. Why don't you? Okay?
Tell the truth.
This is according to CBS Chicago reports. Hood and Brown had gotten into an argument while waiting for food, and the mother allegedly texted her son, who was waiting in the car, to come help her. This is the situation we're dealing with, folks. I want to know, I'm really, what's going on, Martin Jackson? Thank you for coming over. We got Lovely Cherokee, Empress Goddess, Killers, Yapo's in the house. Martin Jackson, again, QT1, Ray of Shining Sunshine. I thank you for being here. Guru Speaks, 2Myth71. Let me see what my man Yapo is saying here. Everybody's making really good points in the chat room. I know some people may have difference of opinion about things about this, but I gotta be honest, he brought it on himself. He brought this on himself. He didn't have to get up there and be arguing with her, but he did what he did. I'm gonna say it again because he didn't fear that there would be any pushback against him if he put hands. He thought he could simply put hands on her and that everything would be okay, right? Ray of Sunshine says, poor little girl, they may have saved them from having to only have this guy as their main example of how a guy treats a woman. Yeah, it's a bad example that he displayed, but I feel bad because the daughters are innocent. They don't control how their father behaves, but he didn't have enough emotional maturity to realize, I got two daughters at home. What am I doing arguing with this woman? Let me get my damn hot dogs and get on home to my kids. But the reason why he was able to do what he did is because he has done it before. He has done it before because he has a habit of putting his hands on women. He's a felon. He has multiple batteries on his record. I'm keeping it 100% real with y'all tonight. Jill's Chocolate says exactly. What's going on? I keep flipping through my list. What's going on, my sister Sincere? What's going on? Like that avatar, looking good. So this is the truth. I'm just keeping it real with y'all. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything here. Let me let you see the video of Miss Hood in her press conference. She's going to sue the city of Chicago, and they better give her money because they was able to give them immigrants, those migrants, $51 million. Let's hear the press conference. I've kind of shortened it just to get to the point. Here we go.
Yesterday, criminal charges of first-degree murder were dismissed against Ms. Hood and her 14-year-old son, rightfully so. Now that she is free, we think it is important that her story is told and that she is heard.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carlishia, Carlishia. Last name is Hood, Hood. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support for me and my family. On June 18th of this year, my life changed. My son's life changed. I've experienced pain in many ways that I would never have thought, never. What happened to me was totally unnecessary. Never in a million years would I have imagined being brutally attacked, beaten, and then arrested. I am thankful that the Cook County State's Attorney dismissed the case. I am also thankful to have my son with me and by my side, and also his charges being dismissed. I thank my
Reason why they're suing is because she should have never been arrested because it was a self-defense case. I think Miss Fox, who's the district attorney in Chicago, when they looked at and examined the evidence, what happened was, Sincere, they didn't show all the footage. They didn't show all the footage of the, how can I say this? They didn't show all the footage of what actually happened from all angles. They only showed a little bit. Let me read this to you. Considering the angles of the security cameras inside the restaurant, why didn't the investigators not release the portions of the video showing Miss Brown being beaten by Mr. Brown beating Miss Hood? In the court documents, the assistant state attorney even stated that Mr. Brown punched Miss Hood in the head 3 times, but never brought up the self-defense. So when it's seen as self-defense, when they got all the video and got all the angles that maybe we didn't see, they realized that they couldn't make a case against her because the one angle that she would have is that it was self-defense. And therefore, she wasn't attacking him. As you know, she didn't punch him. She didn't engage in any physical fisticuffs with this man. He engaged in all of it. And the son took a whipping that was, by the way, registered and then took him down. So as a result of that, they had to let them go. Remember, they were arrested and they were going to be charged for first-degree murder. Then they were going to be given a $3 million bond to get out. They had to pay a bond to get out. Once they examined this, they realized they weren't going to have a case. That's why she's also suing them, because they should have never arrested her. Another thing, Mrs. Sincere, if you did or did not know this, she's also suing them because of emotional distress, because they released photographs of her putting her personal information out there, which they really had no business doing, when she should have never been charged. So what happened is that the police in Chicago, which doesn't surprise me, in Chicago, they did what we call in Chicago a rush to judgment, which black people, when it comes to black people, they always rush to judgment on us. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Okay. Because of that rush to judgment, that's why she now has a case. Now, this is my theory that I think could boomerang. If the son used the firearm to strike Jeremy Brown and struck him with the bullet one time out of that gun, out of that firearm, and the report says that when he was struck by the firearm the first time, he was trying to get out of there. He was trying to haul, behind and get out of there. But then they're saying, the question is, they're saying he got popped in the back a second time. Now, what that's called is obsessive force. Once you use the firearm to render that person from harming someone, and if they stop and try to get away, technically you shouldn't pop them again with the firearm, because they no longer are what? A intimate danger to you, because they're trying to get away from you. So I wonder if they do a countersuit in behalf of the family in Mr. Jeremy Brown's name by saying that the son was used excessive force by popping him not once but twice. That's where it could get very interesting down the line. So we'll have to see how that turns out. I hope I was able to answer any of your questions, and anybody in the chat room that may be thinking about this too. Let's hear some of this.
For supporting me, and the people all over the world, the people did not play. Yeah. And I just thank God everything was revealed. And just everybody who has been praying and rooting for us, I just thank God for them. That did not go unnoticed. You are all not forgotten. And we are praying for all the families affected by this horrible tragedy. I am now in the process of healing and putting my family's life back together. During this trying time, we ask if, we could please have space to rest and recover from this life-altering situation. and that you all continue to keep us in your prayers. In the near future, I will be able to respond to outpouring of support. Again, I just need a little time to heal and to just get my life back with my baby. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
Take your time, Carlishia. Take your time. Take your time, baby.
Now, I want to, it's unfortunate that she's crying because she's been through an emotional situation. But Mo, you make a very good point here. Police cannot even use their firearms to strike someone when they're running away. They're not supposed to, but how many times have we seen black people get struck by firearms by police and then they get off for it, right? That's where that could be the loophole in this situation if, and this is a big if, that could be the loophole in this situation if they say that the son, this would be the counter to their lawsuit against the city of Chicago. And the counter to that would be if the people, those that represent the police department in Chicago, would their counter be that the son, by striking this man with the firearm a second time in the back area as he was trying to get out of there, and then of course he was pronounced he was deleted at that point, would they be able to say, well, your son, he was in his right to strike him with the firearm the first time, but when he did it a second time as the man was trying to get out of there, that's where your son would be in the wrong. So we have to see, because this ain't over, we will have to see what the countersuit, because over in this Information Man show, you know, we're going to give you logical discussions over here. We need to see if there's going to be a countersuit based on the excessive force issue. I bet you the police are going to wrap themselves, or the city, to protect themselves, are going to wrap themselves around that ideology. I would not be surprised. Let's continue. And here's her other attorney.
Yeah, I know.
It's all right, Carlishia. It's all right, baby. You're strong.
It's okay.
You're strong.
It's okay.
Oh, Jesus.
You're strong. God bless you. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Attorney Brandon Brown. That's Brandon, last name Brown, Brown. This morning, we filed a 4-count complaint. On behalf of Carlishia Hood. This complaint is being filed against the city of Chicago and the defendant officers who were responsible for her arrest. The complaint contains counts of malicious prosecution, false arrest, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. We do not take what happened to Ms. Hood lightly, and we intend to pursue this lawsuit, and there will be additional lawsuits forthcoming. I want to add that Ms. Hood and myself, we recognize that there.
Miss Sincere, that's a good point what you're saying. If they determined, but this is what they determined, which is why the police let them go. They determined that the son using the firearm was because the mother is called, there's a very important word here, ultimate endangerment. The mother was endangered of her life because this man was striking her in the head 3 times. So therefore, when the son took the firearm and he used it, he was well within his rights technically because he saw his mother in danger. That's the reason why they had to let them go. But they could come back and say that the second dispersal of the firearm in the back of Jeremy Brown could be their way of saying that's the counter to what they're trying to say. Jeremy Brown was captured on video punching Carlishia Hood in the head before being fatally deleted, as you all know. Let's go back to this. Good points. I like the discussion in the chat room. I like the intelligent discussion that we're having. This is wonderful.
Has been a life lost. And so we are praying.
Not what happened is wonderful, but
for
the fact that we're
family
having intelligent
of this man who
conversation.
lost his life. I don't want that to be forgotten. We appreciate that lives were affected by this incident, and so we don't want
Brown,
to be,
girl
we
Bella,
don't
good to
want
see you.
dilute or diminish that.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
Ms. Hood and her son.
That's the whole point that I'm trying to make right there, Sora, that the second shot could be seen as excessive. The reason why I'm confident about that, because of the kind of work that I do, and at my job, we're trained to realize, and I work in mental health, but we're still trained about these things around excessive force. At my job, for example, if a guy tries to attack me, and I do whatever I can to get him off of me. Once I get him off of me, my job is to get away from him. Or if I get him off of me and he gets away from me, I can't then, once the officers come in and get him under control, because I deal with guys in the prison environment. If they get him under control, I can't come back and kick him in the back while he's down and under restraint. I can't. That's seen as excessive use of force, physical force. You can't do that technically. But once again, we would have to see, maybe I should get the Empower Esquire on my show to talk about this. We would have to understand what is the law and the statute in Chicago, right? Because every state has different laws around these issues. But let's get back to this. Very intelligent dialogue in there.
To pursue that. Ms. Hood is not going to be answering any direct questions. Myself and Attorney Williams will be answering a limited number of questions. However,
now QT1 is making a beautiful statement here of intelligence. She says Jeremy was still moving, so he was still a threat. He could have been going to get his. You are so correct. Here's the clap. You are so correct. QT1, you're so on the money, it ain't even funny, okay? You're right. That could be the angle that their lawyers right here could say that, hey, the young man had to pop him again because what if he was going to get a knife, a firearm himself, or what if he was about to lunge at this young man right here, a student who was a young man who's an A student, graduating the top of his high school class. There he is, doing what he had to do to protect his mother. I'm sorry. Somebody puts their hand on my mother in a situation that can put her in danger. I'm going to do what I have to do.
And keep in mind that Ms. Hood was just released yesterday afternoon. And so she needs time. But once she is able to process and reconnect with her family, she will present herself again, and we will make her available, but not right now. We're asking that you give her space. We understand that there have been a number of people going to her home, attempting to contact her at her home. We also recognize that there have been
Mr. Quincy X, he makes a very good point here too, ladies and gentlemen. He says, also, he could have blacked out after the first firearm dispersal shot and didn't know he had been hit with bullets a second time. That's true. It could have caught him completely off guard because he didn't know that this was coming. All he knew is that he was going to wail on this woman. He thought that he probably would wail on her and that'll be it for the night for her and he'd be on about his way. Look at him. Just out of control there. You could tell he didn't use emotional maturity. You can see him clenching his arms. And then here he getting ready to cock it all back in a minute. Here we go. Here we go. Boom. See, terrible, 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 terrible stuff right there. Let's get back to the lawyer.
World Wide Web that may not necessarily be genuine or without malice.
Yes.
All right. Genuine or without malice, as he's saying there. So, ladies and gentlemen, we tried to have an intelligent breakdown of this situation. Let me give you a reminder here. The surveillance video outside of the restaurant shows the teen entering the restaurant as he's watching his mother be attacked, and the cell phone video from inside the show, shows Brown punching Miss Hood in the head 3 times, in the head and face. And that was all the son needed to see. Okay? Look at that picture right there. You can see him in the corner. Why is a grown black man attacking a black woman who did not put any hands on him? It has not been noted that he's put hands on him. Why would he do this? Unless this is what he has used to doing, because I'm going to say it again. For the cheap seats, for the expensive seats in the balcony, is that Jeremy Brown, 32-year-old Jeremy Brown, whose girlfriend was cheering him on in this execution of nonsense that he was engaging in. Jeremy Brown is a man who has a record, a criminal record of being a felon, based on the fact that he has a criminal record of multiple battery assaults. So he has a history of putting his hands on women. And it's really sad because he has 2 daughters. And you would say, what do you say to your daughters? You're running around putting hands on women, and you got 2 daughters who you know damn well that if a man put their hands on your daughters, that you would not tolerate a man putting his hands on your daughter, but you putting hands on women. So we got to ask ourselves, what type of character or lack of character does this man really possess or lack of there? I really want y'all to think about what I'm talking about tonight, because I know that for every person out there that says, well, she was wrong, she didn't have to have the son. You notice that there is no evidence that she told the son by text message to pick up the firearm. There's no evidence. And if that was the case, I'm sure the police in Chicago, when they took them in and arrested them, believe me, the police in Chicago took the cell phone, took their possessions. I'm sure they went through the cell phone to see what messages were put out there. Did she put a message of, hey, son, this man's in here messing with me, get the firearm and come in here and I want you to go pop, pop goes the weasel? Or did she simply say, I'm being attacked by someone, and the son took it upon himself to get the whipping? Who knows? We'll see how this all comes out in the wash. Now, another thing I want to put out here, and I think Tanya, got to give credit where credit's due. Tanya TKO had this on her channel, talked about this. And this is a person on Facebook who is related to Miss Hood. She's a cousin. She's talking about her cousin, her son. This was the post, and I'm going to read it to you right here. This is a family member who is a cousin to the son of Miss Hood. She says, I first want to say, sending my condolences to the victims and the family members, which would be the daughters no longer have their father. His cousin goes on to say, I'm sorry for you all, for your loss. I am praying for you all in your difficult time as well. But my cousin, this is the young man right here, my cousin was the victim. Everyone has had their opinion, and my family is choosing not to be in this uproar of the internet. We're watched so many negative things being said before the video was leaked. Hurtful. When you know the truth, it's very hurtful. But also, it goes to show you all will believe anything. you'll believe anything and you'll feed off the negativity. I'm sorry, black folks, some of us do feed off of negativity. I got to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
My cousin, who is a black young man, graduated with honors, but nobody knew that a couple of months ago when he was a celebrity, when he was celebrating. I bet you all didn't know he was the son in the SHARE movie. How many of y'all knew that in the chat room, that he was the young man playing, he was playing an extra in the SHARE movie that I think Spike Lee did, and he was played a son in the movie. How many of y'all knew about that? Put a 7 in the chat room if you knew about that. He was the son in the SHARE movie, or an extra in the Shy. Go ahead and look it up. So he was a son in the Chirac movie by Spike Lee, and he also played an extra in The Shy, which is that series, I think on HBO or Showtime, about Chicago. Go ahead and look it up, because I forgot. So this is the family member speaking up for her cousin. I'm going to tell you right now, this fool right here, you see right here, he put himself in harm's way because he underestimated, undervalued, and undervalued and marginalized Miss Hood. And he did not think that, hey, if I mess with this woman, what if she's got somebody who's waiting for her in the car that can come in and do some harm? Now, I think in the video, because in the video he says something about a gun, so maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe he heard her say something about a weapon. But you see him going at her right there. Crazy. So Miss Hood said that she's going to speak at a later date and go into more detail. So we're going to see. She'll probably be on one of these interview shows and what have you. And we'll see what happens. I thank you all for being here tonight. Sincere. Everybody, Darren for being in the chat room. The son is one of Jamal Green's homies. Okay. Chicago. I am sure they'll better get the check cleared. All right. And 411 has come over to join us. What's going on? I'm surprised his family hasn't come out. Well, he has a mother who's 58 years old. From what I understand, I haven't heard much about other family members, but we'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. Remember, he had a girlfriend, and there were reports that the girlfriend was egging the situation on and laughing as he was talking to Miss Hood in a very disrespectful way, and also attacking her. And maybe Tanya TKO may be on to something. Maybe the girlfriend was just happy that he wasn't beating on her for a change. And I don't know if the girlfriend is the mother of his two kids, or I don't know. All we know is he's no longer here, arguing over whatever they were arguing about. Why can't we just go and get our food, get your Polish hot dog, get your food, pay your money, go in there and say hi to your fellow black folks and be respectful and go on about your business? Black people, I'm telling you, we have a deep-seated hatred for one another. We really do. I talk about white supremacy sometimes on this platform, but we're actually becoming our own worst enemy. I'm almost thinking that it's not other people that don't look like us. It's the people that look like us who are becoming more of a danger for us. And it's a sad commentary that I have to even imagine that thought. But I don't know. Mo says, was he a gangster? disciple or a vice lord or so, that woman and her son should move to Mississippi. Now, I don't know about the gang affiliation, but you just said that the mother should move to Mississippi. Why should any black person move to Mississippi? Didn't you hear the report today that the Mississippi police were torturing black men in the hospital for weeks on end? They treat black folks like dirt in Mississippi. I don't want no parts of no Mississippi, Mr. Mo. I wouldn't want any parts of it. They treat black folks poor. Look it up. I'm gonna do a podcast about that too. A short one, a uploaded one. Yeah, they've been torturing black men. The police department in a Mississippi town. It just broke news today. Well, let me find that article. I'll put that in my email. Give me 1 minute. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to give you the headline. What did I do with that article? Here we go. Let me read this headline to you. This is what's going on in this world. Rankin County deputy beat and tortured 2 black men, leaving one in the hospital for weeks, lawyers allege. So they didn't beat him in the hospital, but they have been beating him for beating him so bad that one of them's been in the hospital. This is Rankin County in Mississippi. I'm going to do a podcast about this, so don't worry, I'm going to talk about this too. Let me put this up on the board as well. Thank you for your comments in the chat room. Thank you for your super chats, all your support. I thank you. Check this out. Hood, let me just give you the breakdown of what happened. Again, a nice summary. Miss Hood then started texting her son and pointing to him outside. Her son entered Maxwell, stood in the doorway, at which point Brown punched the Miss Hood in the head 3 times, as well as the face. Court documents say that after the first punch, the boy pulled out his weapon, fired at Mr. Brown, striking him in the back. Brown ran out of the restaurant, and her son followed him. This is what the preliminary report, firing additional bullets at this man. Hood told her son to keep. This is the speculation right here. Now, this little piece right here is the falsehood, because this is where they were saying that she was telling the son to continue doing it until he's no longer alive, right? According to the prosecutors. But the prosecutors had to drop their case because that information was found not to be true. Just want to put some, so there was information that was put out there that was not factual, which is why they got arrested off of unfactual information, and they got released once the unfactual information was cleared not to be factual. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Okay. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how this whole thing plays itself out. But again, Mr. Jeremy Brown is a convicted felon. He has multiple battery history on women. First degree murder. Murder is what they were going to give Miss Hood until they found out that she was the victim. And I'm bringing this up about his history because it shows you that they're going to use this in court. It shows you, if they end up going to court, when they do their lawsuit, they're going to show that he has a history of beating on women. It shows that he has a history and a propensity to do exactly what he did. And everybody, thank you. Miss Brown Girl Bella just gave me a beautiful super chat. So let me go up here. Put this on the board. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a great conversation today. Great audience out there from Miss Mills and 411, who's been following my channel for a very long time. Killers is in the house. Brown Girl Bella. Paul is in the house. ray of sunshine. Miss Underwood is in the house. And let me say peace to Doll's Eyes. Miss Doll's Eyes came over and said, what's up to me? And I did see that. And I want to say thank you for coming over. She has a YouTube channel, so check her out, support her. I think Jill's Chocolate Boutique has a channel. Miss Brown Girl Bella has a channel. Miss Understood has a channel. Everybody who has a channel here, check them out. We got Sharon. Oh, here we go. Shirley, what's going on? We have to be mindful that black people are not a protective class in this country. No, we're not, my sister. We're not a protective class. And that's why before you leave tonight, I said this earlier. Jordan Neely was choked by this man who did not get the murder charge, and he pled not guilty today, okay, to the charges, okay? A white woman takes the life of a black woman trying to protect her children that she harmed, and that black woman gets what? Deleted by this white woman with a whipping. Did she get, and they took forever to arrest her and gave us a bunch of excuses for why they didn't arrest her right away. And now they're not even going to charge her with murder. But a black woman is defending herself against a fool at a Polish hot dog restaurant or stand. And she gets arrested right away, given $3 million bail, and gets first degree charges right away. So that shows you right there that there's two different laws for black people and white folks when they do. So when black people harm black people, if black people harm a black person or a white person, they're going to charge you right away. If a white person harms us, oh, well, we got to look at the case. Don't rush to judgment. We have to assess things and we have to evaluate this. That's the excuses that we get.
Tell the truth.
So, everybody, Chicago is a place that does have problems with gun violence. And I'm not a supporter of gun violence, but I am a supporter of protecting yourself when your life is being put in danger by a fool out here, you see. And this fool certainly did not have composure, didn't have emotional maturity. That's my theme tonight. He did not have emotional maturity. And he was able to do what he did because there's very little value for black life. And black people do not respect black people, and black people have no problem harming other black people. Okay. Now, do I want to see people get fired upon with a weapon? No, I don't want to see that. No, I don't want to see that. But he put himself in this situation for the possibility. I mean, you're in Chicago, and we know that in Chicago, people do pop goes the weasel on you. So, it is what it is. I feel bad for his daughters that will grow up without a father in their life. But this is a father who has a history of putting his hands on women. So what could he possibly teach his daughters? Okay, the son stood here in the that's when they called him a suspect. The son stood there in the middle of the door and watched his mother be struck the first time. And then he had to do what he had to do with that firearm, you see. And this man is clutching his fist. He was the aggressor. She was never the aggressor in this situation. Never. Everybody share this video. Thank you for watching the podcast tonight. Thank you for the super chats. Everybody in the chat room, this is a clap for you. And super chat music coming your way.
Thank you for the super chat. Information is power. Thank you for the super chat.
Tell the truth.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching the program. I thank you very much. Everyone in the chat room that's here, share the video on your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook with your friends. If you're a content creator, drop it in your community tab, and we'll be back with more podcasts. I decided to go live with this one, but I will still be dropping these kind of podcasts, these short little podcasts. I'm going to continue to drop those. The podcast, when I upload videos on this channel, it's weird. When I go live, I get more views off of lives, but when I upload videos on this channel, they don't get it's weird how that works. I don't know if the YouTube algorithms are not pushing the pre-upload, but I'm going to still upload the pre-uploaded one still. And maybe every now and then I'll go live in this format. Still will be going live on Sundays in my original format. But this format, the look of the show and everything will be the podcast, which will be mostly uploaded videos, which will be short and to the point. So everybody out there, thank you again. Everyone in the chat room, great audience out there. Great intelligent conversation. Great conversation. Let me put Guru Speaks. I hope I'm saying that right. Guru Speaks says they tried to get her for M1. Yeah, you're right. Everybody, it's been a great night. Martin Jackson, thank you for coming over, brother. Great show. I think this was the first time I saw it live. Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is the podcast. I usually go live, brother Martin Jackson. I usually go live on Sundays. It's a different look show, different whole aspect of the show. But I go hard in the paint on these issues. That's Sunday. And then what I'll be doing with this format that you're looking at tonight, I will usually be uploading 13-minute, 17-minute, 8-minute, 9-minute podcasts under this look and format, right? But I thought because this issue was so important, let me go live because, like I told you, for some reason on this channel, when I go live, it generates more views and attention versus the uploads. I don't know why. On my other channel, Prime Sports Media, if you are a sports fan, Martin Jackson, anybody, check out my sports channel. It's called Prime Sports Media. It's my Deion Sanders Colorado sports channel. I can upload videos over there and they go skyrocket. I'm getting high views over there. It's a big channel over there. And it doesn't matter how many subs you got on YouTube. It's like how YouTube pushes your content out. Okay. But thank you everybody again. And let me say hi to my lady, Jill's Chocolate Boutique. Thank you. Check out her channel. Check out Sincere's channel. She has a YouTube channel. Check out Brown Girl Bella's channel. Brother Mike B, thank you for coming over. I see you out there. Paul, I see you. Mike B, thank you for saying it was a great show. Thank you again, brother, for all your support. I never go without respecting you. And Tony D, what's going on, brother? I've come over to your channel a couple of times to say what's up. Hope you're doing fine as well. And let me see. TYMC Kitchen is in the house. This is crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. It's crazy. If you missed the show in the beginning, come back and watch the replay. Share the video on your social media. And I'll be live this upcoming Sunday. But check this out. I'll be dropping another one of these type of podcast style and look any day, anytime. Okay, be uploading them for you and you can enjoy them, and they'll be short where you can watch them, get in it and get out of it and go on with your day and get some knowledge, get some information. And look, we're the only ones on social media that can talk about these stories and give you a different perspective that the news can't give you, because we give you the cultural perspective as Black people about our own issues and problems. Nobody on mainstream media is going to give it to you the way I just gave it to you. And this is why social media commentary and those like myself on social media, this is why we matter. And this is why I think we're more important than mainstream media, because we're able to give a perspective that they won't even touch on. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a great night. And, we're going to get out of here. You guys have just listened to The Pod.
power. You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth.